Yeah, there's Dublin captain Brian Cullen and county chairman Andy Kettle leading the squad into the Burlington. The Skerry's Harpsman has a busy week ahead with that trophy, and of course we'll be joining Michael and the Dublin players at the celebrations throughout the programme.
First of all, can I introduce Dublin captain Brian Cullen and of course the victorious manager Pat Gilroy. Lads, first of all, can I say heartiest congratulations. I know Des Cal back in the studios wishing he was here. I suspect he will be later on. Pat, I happened to be looking down when the final whistle blew, and we saw a little shot of it there a moment ago. You jumped higher than I've ever seen you jump for a ball in Croke Park when that whistle blew.
Look, it was just an unbelievable way to win a game like that. I mean, it was the stuff of fairy tales, really. And to come out and win an All-Ireland that way, it's just incredible.
Be honest with me. When Dublin went 4 points down and there was 7 minutes left, did you think it was gone?
No, absolutely not. We talked about that we could run at Kerry in the last, 15, 20 minutes, and that maybe we'd get some result out of that. And I think we'd had a few chances before that. And to be honest, I thought there was still plenty of time.
There's been great celebrations around the city all evening since this, and here, obviously, in the south side of Dublin. I also get the sense, Pat, that there's a touch of relief about this as much as joy.
I don't think there is. I mean, I suppose we were really up against it today, and nobody really gave us a big chance there today. And I suppose there's been a good few years where we've been knocking at the door and things didn't go our way, and maybe Lady Luck shone down on us today. Thank God.
Yeah, it was the most dramatic finish. Brian, for yourself as captain, and of course for the club, Skerry's Harps, this means everything.
Yeah, obviously, an amazing experience. It's been an absolute pleasure to lead the lads this year. I mean, the effort they've put in over the last, not just 12 months, the last 18 months. They're a credit to their families, their clubs. They really have been, a pleasure to work with.
And obviously, you have soldiered in the Dublin jersey for a few years now, so you've been there. You've been on the hard side as well.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of us are, 8, 9 years on the road now. We've had a lot of disappointments, but we spoke during the week and we said, all those defeats. It was close games, where maybe we should have crept through. I suppose they really shaped who we are today, and I suppose they gave us the hunger to go on and win that game today.
When that move came for the goal and Kevin McMenamin started to move, did you reckon he was going to do it?
Well, in fairness to me, he has a good eye for goal. I was back on the halfway line catching my breath, but he was, he's probably our most direct player. So I mean, he's a great lad to bring on. With 15, 20 minutes to go and the legs are tired.
I don't know if you noticed it, but to me, I felt Croke Park shook when that goal went in.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously had huge support there today. It was great, to be, I suppose, to be cheering us on there for particularly the last 10 minutes when we badly needed it.
Pat, who's in charge of the business for the next week?
Jeez, I don't know. I hope somebody is anyway, but I'm sure it'll be all right. We'll enjoy this week now big time. It's been great. Absolutely fantastic.
I have absolutely no doubt that you will. Lads, it's been an incredible journey, and particularly today, it's been an incredible finish to the championship. Pat Gilroy, Brian, thanks very much indeed. Welcome, please, Alan Brogan, who's been a hero for Dublin all year long, and certainly a hero today, Kevin McMenamin. Lads, many congratulations, of course. Alan, I saw 3 generations of the Brogans this weekend on the television. Your parents, of course, were up for the match last night. You on the pitch today, and your son was at the cup at the end of the match as well, the next generation.
It was. It was great for the family, in fairness. My mum and dad are down there, and it means as much to them as it does to any of the lads out in the field there. And I'm not sure, Jamie's only 2, so I don't know if he knew what was going on, but it was great to have him out there, and I'm sure he'll look back on the pictures in years to come and be very proud.
Given the pedigree that's in it, I'd say we could be seeing him in Croke Park in a few years again as well.
Yeah, well, he likes the hurling at the moment, so I'm not too sure. But
nothing wrong with that either. I don't want to dwell on it too much, but we can't help but making the family connection and what this has all meant to the Brogan family.
Yeah, no, it's huge. It's huge. Like, we devote our lives to football, and look, we've had a long few years trying to get to an All-Ireland final, let alone win one. And look, just like our dreams come true today. It's great for the family, and it's great for Dublin.
And I was saying to Kevin a little bit earlier on when he was up here, that it's just like, to Brian Cullen when he was up here, it's just like for lads like yourself who've been on the panel for a few years and to have tried this before and it hasn't worked out.
Yeah, it's been a long road. I suppose the stages over the last few years, like, we wondered would we ever win one, but I think we showed a great belief today. We showed great character, being 4 points down to come back. It's just like, it's marvellous.
Kevin, tell me about that goal.
I suppose, yeah, Alan put it on a plate for me, yeah. So all I can remember now was just a bit of a counter-attack, and I just, Alan slipped me a ball out to 21, and I just turned inside, and it just seemed to open up for me, and just try to keep it below the knee of the keeper. So I was delighted.
There was a famous super sub played for Liverpool years ago. You become the super sub this year because, of course, you came on as well. I guess Donegal did something very special.
I suppose, I don't know about special, but I know I was delighted now. I suppose it's something that our team have focused on all year is that the lads on the bench kind of make some sort of an impact, and there was more than just myself today. So there's you know, a lot of congrats have to go to you know, there's 15 lads, you know, even 20 lads on the sideline today that pushed that starting 15 you know, to the pin of their collar. So.
And also, I mean, the whole country is joyful for you. I think that's fair to say this evening. And for good reason, because I suppose being the nature of the thing with so many of us cultures living in Dublin, the connections are, I was talking to your mum, Josephine, a few minutes ago. She's from Cullen and Galway. Dennis Bastick Senior is sitting down there. He's from Camross and Laois. The connections are all over the place. Kind of, you know, Cavan people here as well from Ballyjamesduff and so on. So we all shared it.
Well, that's it, I suppose. Like, I'd be very proud now of the roots in Galway, and I'm very proud of my mum. So I suppose a lot of people maybe take a bit of you know, a bit of joy out of Dublin winning the All Ireland, and it's not often that a lot of counties are cheering for Dublin. You know, they say in previous years there was 31 versus 1, but it seemed to kind of turn on its head today. So.
Yeah, and it's Barry Call's parents that are down there. I was talking earlier on from Ballyjamesduff. One final mention of another man today who also had a very important score. I know that Johnny Sexton and Ronan O'Gara were watching this match with the Irish rugby team down in New Zealand. What would they have made of Cluxton's kick at the end? What would Johnny Sexton have made of it?
I'd say he would have been very proud. He would have been proud. Cluxton now, in fairness to him, I mean, me and Alan might be arriving at training at 10 to 7 or quarter to 7, but that man is out at 6 o'clock kicking frees an hour before training, before everyone else, and I mean, it just shows you how it pays off. And I mean, everyone on that panel and that got on that bus today has an absolute huge amount of respect from when he stepped up to that free. There was just a confidence to know that he did the work, and you know, he was going to go over the bar.
Certainly every bit of that. Lads, we appreciate, of course, you taking the time to come up and talk to us here this evening. Kevin, thanks very much. Alan, congratulations. Well done. Des, it's back to you. Don't go too far away from us. More people to meet here.
16 years since Dublin won All Ireland. You were there as a star for 14 years. You missed out on either end. What were the emotions like when we were leaving the ground today?
I was usually proud today, Des. It was a fantastic final, and I suppose I'd be known as an in-betweener. That's life. You know, you roll with the punches. But, you know, these guys, I've been in the dressing room with them, and I was just so delighted for the likes of Alan Brogan, Barry Cahill, Mossy Quinn, David Henry, Stephen Cluxton. You know, they put a lot of effort in. We took a lot of hard knocks over the years, a lot of games when we were well ahead and teams came back and pipped us. It was the opposite today. I think, you know, with 7 minutes to go, we were all a bit worried, and the lads showed great mental strength, character. You know, and come with the arrow, come with the man, Stephen Cluxton. If you want someone in the trenches with you, he's the man. And, you know, it's great to see him that he's not up in his room, that he is actually in the hotel, but he hasn't started drinking the Blue Wicked yet, but I'm sure he will later on. But I'm delighted for the whole lot of them, and a great day for Dublin. It's great to be back at the peak.
All right. We mustn't forget Kerry, Pat. It was a tough way to lose for Kerry, in fairness.
It was. Somebody must have infamy in RT to have to explain to a million people already today why Kerry lost and why Dublin won, and have to go through it again. It's difficult, but look, we've been here many a good night celebrating a Kerry victory, and defeat is just part and parcel. And today, first of all, the game, it was everything you demand of a sporting contest. It was exciting, entertaining, enjoyable, played at great intensity. The result in doubt up to the last minute. Two supremely fit teams. The game played in the right spirit. It was real positive, lovely football. The best team won. The best, as a collective, as a unit, Dublin were fitter, more focused, they were sharper, they were better organised, tactically more aware. They brought a greater intensity to the table than Kerry today. Kerry lost it possibly tactically. They lost it in the first half where they only got 3 scores. We can do ifs and buts and whatever like that, but bottom line, a great game, great afternoon, the best team won, and it's great for the game, for the sport, for the G.
All right, covered all the applause. Your verdict of the match, Kevin?
A fantastic match, a fantastic football match. In terms of drama, I'd go back to '82 and Seamus Darby's winner. I can't think of a more dramatic one. The final football day of the season, the minor match was so dramatic. Both All-Ireland finals won by a single point, right at the death. Incredible drama. The contest in the senior final was magnificent. You know, in an All-Ireland final, there's no handy ball to be won by anybody, and you had to earn every one of them. And the pressure as you were shooting or defending that the opposition player put you under really put, you know, a serious currency on the value of the win, of the All-Ireland win for whoever was to come out on top. But 1-3, Dublin scored to a single point by Kerry in the last seven minutes, and that's the bottom line. When it was required, they pulled it out and still could only fall over by a single point.
Okay.
Great match.
All right, then, well, let's go to our special guest tonight. Oisin McConville, you also scored a goal that beat Kerry, a game-changing goal. What about Kevin McMenamin's finish today?
Yeah, it was a fabulous finish, and I suppose he was the right man, you know, in the right place at the right time. And for this Dublin team, I mean, it's a huge monkey off the back. I mean, for years they've struggled to get over the line, and people have reminded them about it, you know, on numerous occasions. And it was nice, funny to see after the match to see Pilla Caffrey, you know, being, you know, hugging the boys and stuff like that there, because there's a lot of work has gone into this, and this is the culmination of maybe 6 or 7 years work rather than just 70 minutes you see these boys in the field today. But you know, certainly you have to hand it to Dublin today. You know, when it did come down to it, they were fitter, they were stronger, and they were quicker than Kerry to the ball in the last 10-15 minutes of the match.
Well, Johnny Doyle, no more than Jason a few others, you experienced the Dublin intensity this season and you ran them very close. Explain how difficult they are to play against.
Yeah, well, I suppose, you know, Pat Gilroy has come on and he's probably changed the way Dublin, the style of football that Dublin play. They've become, you know, very disciplined in the type of game they play. They get men behind the ball and they don't... to close down the space for forwards to work in. And you know, I suppose that's the heartbeat of the Kerry team is their ability to get scores, and they just didn't seem to be able to get enough ball into the likes of the Gooch and these boys that they were going to get scores. And even, you know, it looked like the game was over with 6 minutes to go. You know, Kerry looked in the driving seat, but still that 6 defenders were in place at all times, and they took the ball off Kerry and drove at them. And you know, you have to hand it to them. They were, you know, probably not the most attacking football, but they knew their job and they did it very well.
Alan Dillon, the Mayo captain, is next to you. Alan, what about Kerry's performance today? Were they at their max in your view?
I suppose they're probably bitterly just disappointed tonight. I think that probably in the second half, when they had the game, the winning of the game, they probably never drove on. And I suppose, you know, Dublin took their chances. And I suppose the turning point was the goal by McMenamin, and he finished it very well.
Did you think Kerry had it won at that stage?
Well, 4 points up, and I suppose momentum with them. I thought they'd actually drive on and close it out. Yeah. But I suppose they turned over 2 crucial balls around the middle, and they got punished either time for it.
All right, then, well, more from our guests in a moment. But the analysis now, and Kieran, you were in the dressing room when Pat Gilroy arrived into the Dublin squad, and talk a little bit about his influence.
Well, I suppose, Des, in 2008, we suffered a bad defeat to Tyrone, and the same happened in 2009. And I think after that, Pat set out the stall that this wasn't going to happen again, and he was going to change the style of play. Yeah. And I think if you look at 2 facets of play from today's game, it epitomises where this Dublin team are at. You know, this is the first bit is the first half, and it's the forwards, the work rate of the forwards. He said at the start they were going to be fitter, they'd work harder, and they'd have a better defensive line. But you look, here's it from a Kerry kick out. Tomas O'Shea gets it, Brian Cullen pushes him all the way back, Bernard Brogan is working hard, Michael Dermot Connolly, and they're pressurising Kerry all the time, pushing them back all the way back to the goalkeeper. This is the 67th minute. Dublin have 11 men back, Kerry are flooding the midfield, they're trying to stay patient, Dublin stay patient, and this is what has won Dublin in All-Ireland, getting 10 men back behind the ball. Mick Fitzsimon's here, unsung hero really I think for Dublin this year, puts the pressure on the Gooch, makes the Gooch recycle it. Alan Brogan, the corner forward back, working so hard, and they stay with it, up in the Kerry faces all the time, and they eventually get a turnover. And that has been the biggest significant change in this Dublin team over the last 2 years. And it took a while for the players to buy into it. You know, forwards maybe weren't that used to, you know, working that hard. And if they didn't work hard in training, they didn't play. Simple as that. And the lads bought into it. They got momentum going through the qualifiers last year, and they kept that momentum. And those two facets of play epitomise where Dublin are at the moment.
Okay. Well, Wexford manager Jason Ryan, you did very well in having to plot against that. What do you make of the Dublin style of football?
Well, the style is, it's perfect for them. They won today, so they're not going to have any complaints about it. I think just ever so slightly away from the style, they've I suppose developed over the last years, but just away from it, they seem to have developed this incredible self-belief. Like this season, they've been up against the wall in a number of games, and they've managed to come out in the last few minutes and get key scores. So the amount of self-belief that that's grown in the camp and as individuals is just awesome.
And staying calm under pressure, obviously.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right then. Well, Pat, there were frees given. Kerry fans, I have to say that they've on Twitter a lot of people saying frees should not have been given. Kerry people, by and large, are saying fair play to Dublin, don't begrudge them, but frees were given against Kerry that shouldn't have been given.
Well, they were given on both sides.
On
now.
both sides.
You know, it's a recurring theme. We've spoken about this a good few times this year. It's been a recurring theme of the championship. What we call easy frees, handy frees, frees that aren't frees, I suppose, if you want to call a spade. And it's crucial. They only won by one in the end, Dublin. And it reached crisis level today. We can only show 4 or 5 of them, but there was twice that.
For time reasons, we're only showing 4 or 5.
Yeah, for time reasons, of course. I've no idea what that free was. Here's Barry Cahill. I've no idea what that's for. He got Aidan O'Mahony for that. And here we go, Paul Galvin, I think it's back this time, a great steal. Look at this, eyes on the ball, knocks it away, and he gets a free against him. Diarmuid Connolly here. Now maybe something happened off camera that I can't see, but I have no sense what that's for. And this is a particularly amazing one. The referee indicates he's touched the ball on the ground, and my colleague Martin Carney correctly states that it's a penalty, and he gives a free in. I've no idea there what that free is for. And the very final free, Barry John Kane holds the position. Kevin McMenamin runs at him. Is that a free? I mean, that's it's a really tough one.
As a Kerry man, I don't want to be seen to nitpick or whatever like that, because there was, it wasn't a great refereeing performance by Joe McQuillan today. Like I said, when the frees were awarded, you were wondering, I didn't see any foul there, and they were awarded softly to both sides, and you wonder sometimes, are refs trying to take the physicality out of it? As regards the last free, it wasn't a foul. It wasn't a foul, full stop. Barry John Keane was just badly positioned. He didn't move his feet. His 2 feet were spread out. And Kevin McMenamin, he looked a gift horse in the mouth. There was your man's legs extended. He fell over it, free.
Right. Let's go back to a guess. Desi Dolan, would you have been frustrated there? Forwards, really.
Yeah, I think on today conditions were a bit slippy, and the players were going down a bit easier than normal. And I'd say overall, I think the referee, it wasn't one of his better games. And you'd imagine in games like that there will be mistakes made, but you're just hoping that the decisions will balance out. But I don't know who'll be happier. I think Dublin will be a bit happier tonight.
I think so. All right then, Kevin. Kieran Donaghy was a big factor for Kerry today. You thought he might have been utilised even more.
Oh, if Kieran Donaghy was fully exploited, I've no doubt that Kerry would have won the All-Ireland. He scored 2 points. He could have scored 2 goals and 2 or 3 points. He started off at midfield, went straight to wing, and did quite well. Did okay, but what he was doing there, I haven't quite figured out. But when they eventually decided to put him full forward, maybe it was the Mayo lad, the full-back Cafferty, had given him a tough time in the semi-final, and they didn't really fancy it. But watch the way he fakes Rory O'Carroll there. This should be a goal. It's a great stop. Probably handled it on the ground as well afterwards. I don't know why he didn't go for a goal here, but again, he really gave Rory O'Carroll a tough time.
It wasn't easy to go for a goal there, was it?
I thought he could have moved it back to the side. Well, maybe not. Cluxton was out very fast, I'll give him that. He kicked a magnificent point when it was required. In a season when he wasn't going that well, he chose today to have a really big game.
I think when Kerry look back at it during the week, I think that they will see as the greatest tactical error that possibly cost them an All-Ireland title today, because obviously from the first 20 minutes against Mayo, they decided they're going to put the ball in long and high to Donny, and it didn't work, right? So then they went to plan B, and eventually they got through the Mayo defence, but Mayo didn't play at the same intensity as Dublin did today. So Kerry were again trying to walk through it, but they weren't walking through it at pace. A lot of the passing was slow, ponderous and lateral, and the thing with Donny, there's no point in having one of your two players playing 60 yards from goal out in the sideline. And secondly, I felt at the start they should have played him in on the edge, pumped the ball in high to himself and the gooch. If it's not working, then go to plan B. So I think the costly mistake.
Well, Cork goalkeeper Alan Quirk, you've had him lurking around your square long enough. How is he the most dangerous full forward in your view?
Yeah, when he's getting the right kind of ball, he's very, very hard to mark, and he does create a lot of panic around the penalty area, as we found out on to our cost on a couple of occasions. But I suppose
and what is the right ball for him in your view? That diagonal one?
Yeah, like Tomás O'Shea in particular is very good at getting long diagonal ball, not that high, but kind of got it at a 45-degree angle, so he can attack it.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
It hangs a bit, yeah.
But I can see it from Kerry's point of view as well, because they see themselves as becoming too predictable if they keep using the Donny tactic, and particularly when Dublin played a lot of guys at the back, they might have feared that he was going to be crowded out. So I can see why they were trying to mix and match it and move him out and move him back into the top of the square. But certainly he looked dangerous today, and had he got a bit more ball, he might have created some more goal-scoring opportunities in particular.
Right. Kieran Whelan, several of us felt that Kerry 4 points up, 7 minutes to go, had it won. Then came the big turning point.
Yeah, they were in control of the game. There was no doubt about it. They went 4 points up, and Dublin had got a bit sloppy in the second half. They'd given away a lot of needless frees, and they'd let Kerry get ahead. And you know, as the game progressed in the second half, Dublin was looking a lot shaky for Dublin. This is Colin Cooper to put them 4 points up. Kerry in total dominance. You know, a fantastic score. Turns inside on his right foot over the bar. At this stage, you're thinking, you know, Dublin are in trouble. They needed something to happen. Quick ball on the counter-attack, and Kevin McMenamin has had 2 fantastic league campaigns for Dublin. You know, has been trying to break into the team, but has made a huge impact this year. Absolute great finish, great goal. Here, this after great Michael Darren McCauley interception, and Dermot Conley, who came into it in the last 10 minutes, gives a great ball over to Kevin Nolan. And if you're going to kick your first ever championship score, that is the time to do it. An absolute marvellous point, showing great leadership. And then here's the Iceman himself, takes his time, comes up. You know, there was 2 minutes injury time. You can see John McQuillan is waving him on. He doesn't hesitate when he puts the ball down, and it's just straight over the bar. And I think that moment will be shown for many years to come, and I think we're in trouble days when it comes to coaching now, because all the kids will want to play in goal and take the frees. So I don't know what we're going to do.
But you know, Des, just briefly, Alan mentioned it there earlier on, that he felt Kerry would push on, but I think this was a Kerry team with a lot of mileage in the clocks, and I think they'd emptied their tank, that they were physically finished, and being physically tired leads to mental exhaustion and leads to poor decision making. And then on top of that, you had Dublin's belief and composure and leadership for those last 7 or 8 minutes, which they displayed all year.
All right, let's ask Monaghan's Dick Clark. And Dick, tiredness, was it tiredness in your view?
I don't know. I think the style that Kerry played in the second half surprised me, and that they had a lot of men back behind the ball, back behind their own midfield, and when you do that, you invite the opposition onto them, and it's very unlike Kerry. Like a few times when we looked up in the second half, Kieran Donaghy was on his own inside the Kerry half, and it's not very like Kerry. So when Dublin seen that, they pushed at them, and you could see the likes of Darren McCauley and McMenamin driving at them, but Kerry invited them onto them, and I think that had a lot to do with it.
All right then. We have a short break to take, but stay with us. We've plenty more to discuss, including the man of the match, and of course we'll...
Everyone is very down inside there, Marty. It is a game we felt we had it in the bag. After 63 minutes, we were coasting.
And Kerry and their fans will feel they're within touching distance of victory in the All-Ireland.
4 points up. We felt we were in this position before, and we drove it home. Wasn't to be today, to be fair to the Dubs. You have to give them great credit. They came back.
He's put it over the bar, and Dublin are in front.
We played our hearts out there in the second half. Quarter-final with this is 100 times worse. You know, when you get so close to something and see it slipping away, it's a hard one to take.
You know, we'll be licking our wounds, I suppose, but with the help of God, and you know, that's one thing you can say about Kerry. We always come back, and we'll fight on, Marty.
I'd just like to bounce back.
That's very gracious from Jack O'Connor. Well, MJ Tierney of Laois, you play your club football in Dublin. Leinster won't be that easy now. Kildare knocking around, Dublin knocking around. Are Dublin the best team this year?
Yeah, definitely. And I suppose the last couple of years, everyone was kind of waiting for him to make that breakthrough. And firstly, before going any further, I'd like to say a huge congrats to Stephen, a club mate of mine. And he was walking up to it and said it was not insured and it was going to sail over. But Leinster football, I suppose, is probably the strongest province at the minute, and it's just going to get tougher and tougher, and we're just going to have to try and get up to that level. We're not near it yet, but you can see Dublin have been, 5-6 years, like really just knocking at the door. So that's what it takes, and Kildare are doing the same, but Dublin really showed their worth today.
Yeah. Just quickly on Cluxton, lots of people tweeting. He walked down the dressing room with the Kerry lads.
So you seen him in the hotel, he looked like he was angry there when they flicked to him, but that's just the way he is. He's actually that modest that he'd rather just get away, because I'd say in Clucko's head he probably knew they were going to look for an interview or something because he'd scored, so he just probably shot down. Surprised that he didn't lift the cup with the boys, but I was watching it with the woman and she said to me, does that mean you don't take the frees now anymore? Clucko will be taking them.
Well, you take them all with Parnell's, yeah?
Well, between myself and Murta, Johnny Murta from Armagh, but not anymore. She was kind of basically nudging me as if, are you any worth anymore now?
It's a harsh way to find out. Kieran, Mark O'Shea says we'll fight on. Pat Spillane makes the point this Kerry team has a lot of miles in their belt. What do you think?
I think Mark summed it up. Coming into the game, a lot of people felt that some of their defenders might be over the hill, but to me, the likes of Thomas Sullivan performed quite well today. Mark O'Shea did. Owen Brosnan was actually lost when he went off. I certainly wouldn't write them off. They were in control of the game. Dublin got a few breaks today. Kerry have proven when they've been beaten by Tyrone over the last few years that they have come back and bounced back the next year, and I'd be very reluctant to write Kerry off. The only thing you would say is that when you looked at their bench today, it didn't have the same formidable look as it has in recent years, and certainly 2 years ago in 2009 when Darragh O'Shea, Tommy Walsh, Ty Kennelly was there, they certainly looked a bit stronger. They have to find a few players, but the core of the team is still very strong.
Okay then. Right then, we'll have Man of the Match coming up, but time now to focus on the Sunday game on All-Ireland finally. It's the Man of the Match award. Kevin has our nominees.
I know we say this every year. It was really not easy even to pick the nominees this year, but we have to do our job. The first nomination is Kevin Nolan, who is around a few years, consistent 2011, a very consistent 2011, and a really consistent All-Ireland final today, and got, as Kieran said, the first championship score of his career. What a day to get it. Brian Sheehan, we spoke about him. We thought he had a fantastic match in an area that Kerry were supposed to struggle in, and he in particular might not have adapted. He was fantastic all season as well, and had a great final today. Scored well, and Bernard Brogan was the third nominee. Again, his movement, his scoring from open play, his scoring from free, just the way he handled pressure. Another very deserved nomination for him.
All right, well, there are nominees then. Let's go back down to the hotel and read.
The winner of the Man of the Match is, I can tell you he put in a sterling performance in defence today, also scored a crucial point from Kilmacud Crokes. It's Kevin Nolan. Yeah, Christy Cooley making the presentation of the Man of the Match trophy. Kevin, many congratulations to you. Not just one, but two big awards on the same day.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's just an honour to be represented by such a great bunch of lads here. Throughout the year, not only this year, last year as well, we put in a huge effort, and I think we got our just rewards there today, just for all the effort we put in throughout the whole year. I was lucky enough to be on the pitch. There were 20 lads on the sideline who pushed us all the way in every training session, and again, this is just for everyone, and I'd like to thank everyone, backroom staff, Pat, all the selectors and coaches, and the players themselves. So this is just for the team, really.
Did you manage to get much sleep last night, by the way?
I actually did, yeah. I've been teaching in Adamstown and Lucan this past 2 weeks, so I'll give them a bit of a call out. But yeah, I've been tired enough after a few days work, and wasn't too bad sleeping last night.
Will there be a few free classes tomorrow?
Yeah, I was speaking to the principal of the school, and he said I had the day off, so thanks to him.
I think that's wise of him. Kevin, many congratulations, our man of the match. The celebrations, I can tell you, Des, are absolutely fantastic down here. Come down and join us.
We just might do that, Michael. All right, well done to Kevin.
Great chance, great goal! And Mayo have beaten the All-Ireland champions.
That was absolutely brilliant. Might be a scoring chance for Cormac Kennedy. It is. They've done it. Tipperary have rewritten history at Croke Park. Here's a chance. He has it. It's dropping over the bar. Kevin Cassidy is the hero. Let's see, can he hold his nerve?
He's put it over the bar. Cluxton, the hero.
Quite a mix there. Johnny Doyle in our audience. Kevin Cassidy's point obviously broke your hearts, needless to say, but it was a great pressure kick, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, funny enough, it wasn't my top moments of the year, I have to say, Des. But yeah, look at it. I mean, credit where credit is due. I suppose, in such a situation, outside of the left boot, you wouldn't be putting your life savings on him to kick it. So, incredible score, and it was, a bit like Stephen Cluxton's days, real rider over stuff to win a match like that.
Desi Dolan next to you. You were saying you don't like what you perceive as negative tactics coming into the game more and more.
Yeah, I suppose a lot of the younger managers, Jim McGuinness, James Horan and Kieran McGeeney, the new Brandon manager, a lot of them are applying tactics where they've gone very defensive. And even if you look at Dublin today, 2 of their half-forward line was Barry Cahill and Brian Cullen. And it's just something that's creeping into the game where teams are going very defensive, and it's more about stopping teams playing than letting forwards be creative.
So I'm glad you didn't include Jason in that. But John Evans, for you, you had a couple of moments, and you liked Donegal, unlike maybe...
I did. I think there was a lot of undue criticism given to Jim McGuinness, because I've come up against Jim McGuinness at under-21 level on the All-Ireland semi-final last year, and he had a very creative team. But I know what happened, is that very simply is that Jim McGuinness set out to win the first round of the championship. And funny enough, Des, between the first round and the second round, you have very little time. So you do the same again when you make it better. And what he set out was that he got the morale, the team rolling, and he couldn't change it. He was a victim of his own, I suppose, success to a degree.
You also were a fan of the Kildare story in 2011.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt, and it's not because Johnny's here or anything like that. But look, what Kildare have been through, there was only a point in both games there today, Des. But what Kildare have been through over the last 3 or 4 years, getting to quarterfinals, to a semi-final, I mean, it's been unbelievable to see their temperament, their fitness, and yet McGeeney still gets them to go out there and they have that steel in it. That has to be lauded, it has to be praised, and no silverware. Everybody is sort of saying, Kildare, you've done brilliantly, but you've no silverware. But by God, they've improved, Des.
Oh, okay. Now, MJ Tierney beside you. MJ, you were frustrated by one particular element in this season.
Yeah, it was just, I suppose, looking back on the year, and it seems to be the same thing creeping up year after year, is the inconsistencies that you see between, the CCC, overturning some red cards, and then Brian Farrell's got upheld, which didn't make any sense, and then you had the square ball incidents creeping in again and again, and it just seems to be something that's not addressed, and it's taken from the great football that you are seeing. But on the Donegal thing, I'd be completely behind Jim McGuinness, a win at all costs, like league title, Ulster final, champions, and then like the All-Ireland semi-final. If we could have that next year, I'd put 20 men behind the ball. I'd never get forward if I could.
All right then. Well, they're all interesting points. Kevin, Tipperary Miners featured there.
Yeah.
And you're a big fan of the overall achievement.
Of the approach they've taken, the long-term view, and John went through it in some fine detail, but the bigger picture, the strategic picture, as if you will, developing players, big panels, so that when a few guys get injured, the whole backside doesn't fall out of the operation, that they had players to come on. The sense that they're working at ground level and not trying for a quick fix, you know, get a manager in 2 years, out the door, move it on. They're structured, they're coming through, and I believe at underage level, John, in 12s and 13s and 14s, in Munster you're doing extremely well. You're under 21 team, obviously. So there's something there now, there's something real to build on. It's not a mirage, it's not a one-year wonder. And it's a fantastic story for all the counties. Your old argument, there's 15 good players in every county. It's a great story for all the counties that are starved of success to start at the bottom.
All right, and Kieran, the number one moment, a good friend of yours, Stephen Cluxton.
Yeah, absolutely. We touched on it. You know, it was like equivalent to Graham McDowell coming down the stretch in the Ryder Cup. The pressure that he was under, and he just showed great coolness and a fantastic strike. And as I said earlier, that's a point we'll see for many a year. And is he quiet in the dressing room, or is it just the spotlight he doesn't like? He doesn't like the spotlight. Clucko's his own man. You know, he's very driven, as the lads said earlier on over in the Burlington. He's first up at training. You know, you look at what he scored this year, 12 points. You know, and I used to arrive at training, it was hard to get him to kick the ball out to you because he was always out where you were supposed to be, kicking it in towards the goal. You know, and he's been practicing for years, and it's paid off. He was fantastic this year. Okay, all right then. Before we have our man of the match, we're naming our Sunday game team of the year as chosen by the lads, and we'll get reaction to it in a minute. We'll ask our guests. So we're starting with the goalkeeper of the 2011 Sunday game team of the year in football. It's Stephen Cluxton of Dublin in goals. The full back line, a right corner back Mark O'Shea of Kerry, full back Neil McGee of Donegal. Did you ever take that camera off him? And at left corner back, it's Rory O'Carroll of Dublin. The half-back line, Kevin Cassidy of Donegal, Carl Lacey of Donegal, and Kevin Nolan of Dublin. So that's our defence. Let's get some reaction to that. I'm sure lots of our guests will see some obvious names missing in their view. Alan Quirk of Cork, who do you think is anyone outstanding players missing from it?
I think maybe Michael Fitzsimons had a great year. Kind of an unsung hero on the Dublin defence. Kind of got the job of marking the opposition's marquee forward every day and did quite well. So I'd say he could count himself unlucky.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that one. Jason Ryan, what's your view on the selection there?
Yeah, I'd agree certainly with Michael Fitzsimons that he'll feel kind of unlucky with it. But in addition to that, I think Emmet Bolton from Kildare had a fantastic year, both defensively and attacking wise. I think that he probably should feel some way hard done by as well.
Pat Spillane.
Well, I'm part of the selection committee. Cluxton, I think, was an automatic. 12 points scored, fourth highest scorer by Dublin, conceded 2 goals in 6 championship games. Absolutely superb. But an honourable mention for Brendan Keeley, who much derided last year, but great shot stopper, had a good year. Full back line. Hard look stories for the 2 Kildare boys. I would certainly both Michael Foley and Hugh McGrillen. You could also make an argument that, okay, with the defensive system that Donegal implied, that if I played cornerback with my wonky knee, I'd probably hold up well as well, because there'd be 13 fellas in front of me, so I wouldn't be. So you can make that argument, but statistically, look, they conceded, what was it, 9 points in championship matches. So, they were superb. All 3 defenders, Neil McGee, Carol Lacey and Kevin Cassidy, were absolutely superb all year.
No goal in open play.
No goal in open play. And if you look at the half-back line, certainly Emmet Bolton, another hard-look story. Donald Vaughan, who had a great game at centre half-back and a tremendous game against Kerry's Declan O'Sullivan and Tomás O'Shea. But it's
That's what we're here to talk about. Well, let's get to the next controversial selections then. At midfield, at number 8, it's Brian Sheehan of Kerry, and number 9, it's Johnny Doyle of Kildare. So let's get a reaction maybe from Dick Clarkin. Dick?
Yeah, I suppose...
Johnny's sitting beside you, which limits your criticism.
I suppose it's indicative of the way midfield has gone now. When you look at the 2 selections, or traditionally forwards, midfield now is not so much, the tall 6'4" or 5 player, far larger they used to call them. But
is that a frustration to you?
Well, no, people probably put that charge to me. It's more of a mobility and different traits now are looked at, and you can see that in the two Dublin players as well. You know, this year probably wasn't one maybe standout midfielder that there might have been in other years. So I think they're both good choices. Johnny was superb. Dennis Bastick, I think, has to get an honourable mention this year. I thought he's tried very hard and been very honest in the way he's played all year.
Kieran, you said the same to me earlier as Dick, that it wasn't a standout midfield.
The way the game's evolving and the way teams are setting up defensively, and we even saw today there was a number of short kickouts. The role of the midfielders become more like the Australian rules, where they're runners and forwards and link men more so than traditional midfielders. You know, Brian Sheehan had a fantastic year for Kerry. He kicked 218, you know, from midfield. You know, Johnny was inspirational right throughout with Kildare. He was their leader. If they had had 15 Johnny Doyles, you know, you have to mention Dennis Bastick, who put in Trojan work for Dublin this year, as did Michael Dermot-Colley with a good final today. And I think Alan O'Connor is possibly another one who, you know, had a very good league campaign with Cork and was their main linchpin in the middle. But as Dick has said, the game has evolved, and you know, we felt Brian and Johnny were the two standout players.
Let's go on to the attack then. At right half forward, it's Darren O'Sullivan of Kerry. Centre forward is Alan Brogan from Dublin, and Paul Flynn from Dublin is also selected, switched to the left to accommodate all three in the half forward line. The full forward line, Colm Cooper of Kerry, Andy Moran of Mayo, and Bernard Brogan of Dublin. So let's get reaction to that. Oisin McConville.
I think you know, we would agree with most of them. Maybe Colin McFadden would deserve a mention, considering he played as a lone striker for Donegal for many games. So I think probably he's the only one that I could make a case for. Apart from this.
Desi Dolan.
Yeah, Michael Murphy's another man, but again, I suppose the fact that all the team are going back, like that's the problem for Donegal. How are they going to develop their tactics to be a bit more creative up front? And the problem is that when there's so few people back, there's so many men marking the likes of Michael Murphy and Colin McFadden. So I think it's going to be difficult for Jim McGuinness, because these forwards will start saying, look, I want to be scoring more. It's not good for my game. I'm not getting all-stars. I'm not getting enough recognition.
Alan Dillon, any other forwards there? Apart from yourself, you feel you should be included?
I suppose it's hard to argue.
Actually, I did as well.
I suppose it's hard to argue with that selection. I say 3 Dublin and 2 Kerry. I suppose the 2 Brogans had outstanding years this year. I suppose Darren O'Sullivan and the Gooch really drove Kerry on for most of the season. And it's good to see Andy Moran in there as well. I think he had a terrific year.
Great, OK then. Kevin, the forwards.
Well, I think the consensus is that this wasn't a difficult selection, and we did. I think in about 5 minutes we had 5 of them pinned down. Then we did a little bit of switching and flicking to accommodate the half-forward line. They're not in their absolutely natural positions, but I think it reflects the top 6. There might have been 1 or 2 others that we did mention and discuss, but I think we got that one pretty right. All
right then, let's have a quick look at the team again to remind you. In goal, it's Stephen Cluxton, the full back line. Mark O'Shea, Neil McGee, Rory O'Carroll. The half-back line, Kevin Cassidy, Carl Lacey and Kevin Nolan. Brian Sheehan and Johnny Doyle at midfield. Declan O'Sullivan, Alan Brogan and Paul Flynn in the half-forward line. Colm Cooper, Andy Moran and Bernard Brogan. 6 Dubs, 4 Kerry, 3 Donegal, 1 each from Kildare and Mayo. All right then. OK then. Player of the Year and Young Player of the Year is one that always generates lots of interest. So we'll do a quick whip round of all of our guests. There's no standout ones, I'd imagine. We'll start with Jason Ryan. 2 names, your Young Player and Player of the Year, Jason.
I'm biased with the Young Player of the Year, Ben Brosnan. He was just pipped today by Colm Cooper for the
overall
scores in the championship.
Score,
and for his overall contribution to Dublin, Bernard Brogan. His massive score tally during the course of the year.
All right. Dick?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Cillian O'Connor from Mayo for Young Player of the Year. I think Mayo might feel a wee bit hard done by, considering what he achieved this year, only getting 1 on the full team. But I think Cillian was great for his tender age to score and took on the free-taking duties as well. And for Player of the Year, I'm going with Stephen Cluxton. I thought even today's side, he was my Player of the Year going into the year, into the game. His consistency and what he's brought to the game has been superb.
OK, MJ?
Yeah, it's probably the hardest year to pin it down. I mean, Bernard was the obvious choice last year. For Young Player of the Year, I think Kevin Nolan has to get it. Like he, you know, one of the reasons they won it today with that score at the end. Player of the Year, toss up between Darren O'Sullivan and Alan Brogan, but you'd have to give it to Alan Brogan, given what he did and given the fact that Dublin have reached where they wanted to be.
Good range. Oisin?
Young player of the year, I go for Rory O'Carroll. I thought he was outstanding. I thought he was outstanding again today. And for player of the year, probably Darren O'Sullivan. He gave us some of the moments of the summer, and he's probably a standout player for me.
John Evans?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Oisin. With Darren O'Sullivan, I thought he was just absolutely a revelation as a forward, and gave us this power-packed forward that ran direct at defences. We badly needed that in football, I think. And the young player of the year, Cillian O'Connor, strikes me. But, you know, it's hard to believe that Michael Murphy is only 21, just gone 22. He captained the team to win so many trophies, and he's much maligned because he missed a few frees in the last thing. I have to say Michael Murphy.
Great, OK. Alan Quirk?
Yeah, I'd go for Rory O'Carroll as well for the young player. I thought he was very, very good all season in a very difficult position at fullback for such a young lad. Player of the year, I'd go for Carl Lacey, Donegal. In a season dominated by defences, I think he was probably the best defender around, so I'd go for Carl.
Thanks. Desi?
I was thinking Rory O'Carroll, but I thought today Kieran Donaghy got the better of him, so I'd go for James McCarthy. I thought he had a fabulous season on the wing there. He scored a great goal earlier in the championship, but I think did very well. And for the senior player, Alan Brogan, just for the years of service, I think it's 7 championships, Leinster Championship Dublin have, and then to make the breakthrough today, he's been an incredible servant to Dublin.
All right, Johnny?
Yeah, well, I suppose the young player of the year, and particularly for the conditions in which he kicked frees in the Connacht final, is Cillian O'Connor. I'd have to go for him. And like Desi says, Alan Brogan, you know, all through the year, he's been phenomenal. He's been a real leader, and I think he deserves it.
Yeah. And Alan Dillon?
I suppose I have to be biased and go for Cillian O'Connor. I suppose he had a terrific year, club man of mine as well. For senior player of the year, Alan Brogan. I thought he was outstanding again today, and especially in the first half, he led from the front, kicked 2
Alan's
massive
nudging
points.
ahead. Just a straight name for our panel. Kevin, young player?
I'm not being biased when I say Cillian O'Connor as young player of the year, for sure. And Alan Brogan, I thought by a nice distance was player of the year.
Pat?
I think I'll go to Dublin for the 2 winners. I think Rory O'Carroll as the best young player of the year. And I think overall, throughout the season, I think Alan Brogan as player of the year.
All right. Kieran?
Same as Des. Rory O'Carroll, young player, and Alan as player of the year.
All right. Well, that would give it to Alan here. I need someone to count up all the young players because there was